Hey guys, welcome back to Storytime with Mrs. Mullins. This will be part 3, story number 6, and we're still learning about Noah's Ark. At last came the big moment everyone in the ark had been waiting for. The opening of the great door God had closed. Maybe Noah and his 3 sons tried to roll it back. Finally, it cracked open, perhaps moved by the same mighty hand that had closed it. How glad everyone must have been to step outside and breathe the sweet, fresh air again. Noah was so thankful God had saved his family from the flood that he built an altar as soon as he left the ark. He sacrificed at least one of all the clean animals and clean birds. That was a real sacrifice just then, when the only animals in the whole world were those that had been with him in the ark. God was very pleased that Noah had remembered to say thank you for his deliverance. He told him, "Never again will I curse the ground because of man. As long as the earth endures seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night will never cease." Now, as God's command, all the birds and beasts were released. What a sight that must have been. What a whirring of wings as great eagles, storks, herons, and flamingos burst into the air and flew to freedom. Robins, sparrows, thrushes, and warblers fluttered and hopped along behind them. How the nightingales trilled and the blackbirds squawked. The mockingbirds must have tried to sing everybody's song at once in that joyful moment of freedom. Lions and tigers, buffaloes and hippos, elephants and giraffes, sheep and goats, dogs and cats hurried through the great doorway, jostling one another as they bound down the ramp in their eagerness to get out into the open again. What a noise they must have made as they sounded forth their joy. The lions roaring, the elephants trumpeting, the horses neighing, the oxen lowing, the donkeys braying, and all the little dogs barking their loudest. Many of the animals disappeared at once, racing down the mountainside until they were out of sight. Perhaps others stayed around because they liked being close to people. Noah must have wondered what he would do with so many if they continued to stay near the ark. But 2 by 2 and group by group, the animals began to move away. They wandered north, south, east, and west looking for food and shelter. At last, only some cows, sheep, goats, and of course little dogs and cats were left. Meanwhile, Noah and his family looked around at the wild-looking place to which the ark had brought them. It was a sad sight. Everywhere they could see the wreckage and ruin caused by the raging waters. Great trees lay uprooted. Lovely hills had been swept clean of soil, leaving nothing but bare rock. Mountains had become scarred and jagged. Plains that had been so fruitful were deserts now. Not a single human dwelling was left anywhere. Not a trace remained of the beautiful homes they remembered. Everything had been smashed to small pieces by the towering tidal waves that had swept the earth when the flood began. The desolation was enough to break their hearts. As they stood there viewing the desolate scene, they felt the earth tremble under them. Many earthquakes shook the ground as the earth settled after the great eruptions when all the springs of the great deep were opened. How afraid and lonely they felt on that shuddering mountainside. They must have wondered what terrible thing was going to happen next. Suddenly, Noah looked up. In the sky, he saw something he had never seen before. A glorious arch of many colors was glowing in the sky. It seemed to circle the ruined earth with arms of love. That is such a good way to think about a rainbow. Hardly daring to breathe, they stood looking at it, unable to speak. What was it? What could it mean? As they watched in wonder, God drew near and said, I have set my rainbow in the clouds, and it will be the sign of the covenant between me and the earth. We need to take back the rainbow. Whenever I bring clouds over the earth and the rainbow appears in the clouds, I will remember my covenant between me and you and all living creatures of every kind. That is what the rainbow is representing. Never again will the waters become a flood to destroy all life. Whenever the rainbow appears in the clouds, I will see it and remember the everlasting covenant between God and all living creatures of every kind on earth. It was God's way of saying, I have not forgotten you. I will never forget you or my promises to you. When you see the rainbow and I see the rainbow, we will remember each other. That is so beautiful. Only a God of love could have thought of speaking to his children like this, just when he needed it most, or just when they needed it most. They had lost wealth, home, everything except life itself, and what they had brought with them in the ark. These poor homeless pilgrims needed this message of comfort and hope. Now, with new courage and cheer, they told themselves that everything will be all right after all. How glad they were to know that God was still with them, that God still loves them. So beneath that glorious shining arch, Noah and his family set out to build a new world with God. Oh man, I hope that when you listen, I hope that the story brings great things, great images to your mind, especially like when the animals are, running with excitement, because animals get excited too. And I mean, I'm sure Noah and his family, they were excited to get out of the ark. And then like that beautiful rainbow. Everybody, show of hands, loves a rainbow. Anytime that there is a storm and it's like, sprinkling and sunshine, everybody's running outside to see if they can be the one that sees the rainbow. Raise your hands. You're out there. So that is such a great reminder that is a promise from God. He created that rainbow for us, and you look up in that sky and you just immediately remember God's promise. So that was story number 6. I hope you enjoy. We're still on story 1, and I'm going to keep going. There's a lot of stories, so thank you for listening. Have a wonderful night.